It has been such a long time since I've done like a big, huge spectacle board, so I think that's what we're gonna do today. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Garmin. This is the Storycraft Society, and like I said, it's been a really long time since I've done a big, huge setting the scenes video. I just think they're fun. I spend all this time making all this cool terrain. Sometimes it's just fun to take it down off the shelf and put it all out and see what you can do with it. This one is basically built out of this holy site shrine that I made about a month ago, maybe a month and a half. I made this super cool thing, but I never set up a scene that paired with it, so I think that's what I want to do today. I have this awesome village map. That's what I'm going to use as my base for it, and then I think I'm going to set up the scene of a village that, you know, obviously built up around this holy site. So first things first, I need to start getting some buildings spread out over this whole thing. So with all of my buildings put out, I'm just gonna go over some design considerations that I went through before I put all of these out. The one way that you can take a build like this and make it feel more intentional is by being more intentional with it. I know that sounds silly, but I'll give you some examples. So the first thing that I did was I made sure to put out the church next to the holy site. That just makes sense. If you're gonna end up having a holy site, very quickly a church will get built next to it. The church that I chose to use was my more quickly built looking church, not my big stone one. Immediately following that, I put that wizard's tower out, and the wizard's tower was a direct follow-up from the church, specifically because the site is to Arcanoth, who is the god of arcane magic, so the wizard's tower would immediately make sense. You know, some high-powered, high-leveled wizard might have teleported their tower here specifically to be closer to the god that most represents what they do. From there, I tried to just put a mix of buildings out, things that felt inviting and interesting, an intention to purposely put my taller buildings away from the holy site and my smaller buildings in this middle section where the visuals for the holy site is. That way, when my players or anybody who's on the table is looking at the board, your eye is really drawn upward towards that big blue hand, which is the centerpiece, basically, of the table. It's certainly the center focal point of the table. One thing that's worth mentioning is while I do have a lot of buildings, I don't have just an egregious amount of buildings, so I did end up having to use a lot, but I also tried to make a conscious effort to choose my buildings to be focused on that look the most quickly built, not something that's been there for a really long time, so not like heavy stonework. I tried to pick log cabiny builds, smaller houses, and that sort of thing as my main centerpieces, and then the bigger stuff I tried to conceal with width, I guess. With that said, now we need the one thing that I say in every single one of these videos. We need some nature in this. We need foliage. Foliage makes a scene like this go from 0 to 100 super fast. So let's jump into a time lapse of some trees. It will literally never stop amazing me how much better a scene will look just by adding foliage. I mean, it's like the hack for making a medium looking scene look like it is amazing. Honestly, I could probably stop here if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but I could, and this would be amazing on the table. With that done, the next thing that I need to do is I need to build some select scenes. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and build those out, and then I'll just showcase a couple of them so that they get the particular spotlight that they deserve, but I don't have to go over every single inch of the scatter terrain that I put out on this thing. So the first scene is going to take place on the far side of the board over here, and it's going to be underneath Arcanoth's right, and it's going to showcase Arcanist Alabard looking out over his flock. This is the guy that discovered this miracle, and he was the one who pushed for this settlement to be built around it. He is also the one who is going to be preaching to the people who live here, and you can actually see that he's got his little outdoor pulpit underneath of the miracle where he can obviously preach his good word of Arcanoth. But I just really wanted something that showcases him on the highest natural natural elevation in the settlement, looking out over the people that he's brought here and kind of internally reflecting on the good that he has done for this particular community. Now, the second scene is going to take place over here, and this one I'm calling We're Kicking Down the Door in 3. And the reason for that is because even in the most idyllic of villages, there's going to be things that go wrong. And currently, children have been going missing. All across this particular village, there has been an issue where a monster or something has been taking the children. And these 3 adventurers think that they have finally figured out where that particular monster is. Unfortunately for them, they're wrong. This is technically, I guess, a monster, but it is a villager that has been infected with lycanthropy. But even though they are a werebore, they've been keeping themselves in check. So as they get ready to kick down the door, they are going to realize that that is not actually the problem, which is a perfect segue to bring us to our final scene, which I'm going to call a game of hide and go seek gone wrong. All of the villagers are nervous about the fact that the children are disappearing, but it seems as though they only disappear at night. Well, this is the middle of the day, and this trio of kids is enjoying their time playing a game of hide and go seek. Unfortunately, what they did not predict is the actual monster that is lurking in the shadows. And as you can see, it's not going to be a good situation here very soon. It's a different day because of life, but I really enjoy getting to set up scenes like this because all of the little micro stories that pop up kind of organically. Like, I didn't have a plan and I didn't have anything written out for this village before I started setting the terrain up, but I do now, and I actually know a pretty decent bit about it, what problems are plaguing the local community, and the adventures that could come out of that. But that's what we have for this week, so hopefully you enjoyed me setting this scene up. If you did do all of the YouTube stuff, for all of you that do that stuff, I really, really appreciate it. But that's all I've got for this week, so until next week, I'll be seeing you.